So the first thing I do is talk about women's anatomy. And that women are basically shaped like this. They have inner and outer labia, which means lips in Latin. And at the top is the clitoris, and then there's the urethra, and then there's the vagina, and then there's the anus. And the urethra is where people pee from. Okay, girls do not pee from their vaginas. When my daughter was little, she called it her pee-gina. But most women actually don't know this until they have children. They've gotten sort of out of touch with their bodies, and most of us, as women, actually I think it's 90%, have never looked at our own genitals in a mirror. So because boys' genitals are hanging out there from the time they're born, and they're on every statue in Italy, and all over the world we see penises, they're pretty common, we don't see women's genitals. I worked with Eve Ensler, who did the vagina monologues, and she did a play called The Good Body. And she had an installation where I taught a workshop. And part of that installation was a photo exhibit. And one of the photographs was this picture of about 12 different vaginas, all different colors, shapes, sizes, and ages. And there must have been, at any given time, 60 people standing around that picture going, because the variety and the differences in the structure and the shape of women's genitals is the same as it is for male genitals, but we never see them. So those 60 people that were standing around that photograph were all women. And that women have a desire and a curiosity to know, but they have no way of seeing. And so if we don't know about our own bodies, then how do the boys know about our bodies? And the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings, more than any other part of the body for men or women. And it has a hood over it, sort of like an uncircumcised penis. So when it's erect, the hood pulls back. And your clitoris can be as big as the tip of your pinky finger, or it can be up to 2 inches long, but everyone has a different size and shape. And your vagina, what you need to know about the vagina, there's a lot of things you need to know, but what I'm going to tell you about the vagina is that they found a spot in the vagina called the G-spot. Okay, your G-spot is about 2 inches up on the front side of your vagina. So if you were to make a come hither motion with your fingers inside your partner's vagina, you would feel about 2 inches up a spot that feels different than the rest of the walls of the vagina. Now it can be smoother, it can be textured like a walnut, it's sort of a spongy area, and it can be as big as a $50 or as small as a dime. And the only way you find that G-spot is when you're aroused. If you press on it, sometimes it can make you feel like you have to pee. But when you're aroused, it gets engorged like the rest of the vagina and the labia, and it's easier to find. And the reason the G-spot is so special is because it has a lot of nerve endings as well. And new research about sexual anatomy says that the clitoris doesn't just end here, but the clitoris actually has what they call clitoral roots. And the roots come down around the vaginal walls and in the lips, and probably are rooted in the G-spot. So the G-spot is almost like the back of the clitoris. And part of why this is so important and so great to know is because it really solves this idea, this controversy that we have about orgasms. Can women have clitoral orgasms, vaginal orgasms? Can they have both? Well, I'm here to tell you that all orgasms are clitoral orgasms. There was a study that said, it asked men how long they thought it took of direct clitoral stimulation in order to give a woman an orgasm. And men said 4 minutes. It actually takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Could be as short as 7 minutes. But for most women, it runs from 15 to 30 minutes of direct clitoral stimulation before they'll have an orgasm. But the reason that men don't know this information is, one, we don't tell them, and two, 80% of women fake orgasm. So if a guy is trying for 4 minutes and she starts to feel bad and says, oh, the poor guy, he's working so hard, So she just fakes it. He looks at his watch and says, oh, see, 4 minutes. So part of the education around sexuality has to be about women's anatomy and what happens. And the importance of this kind of stimulation means that depending on the distance from your clitoris to your vagina is going to determine what sexual position will be the best for you, what will get you off the easiest. Because if your G-spot is in a certain location or your clitoris is close to your vagina, it will determine whether or not you like to be on top or you like sex from behind or in the missionary position. And this is important for women to understand that everybody likes it a little bit differently. Because what we're trying to get is the stimulation to this area, the clitoris. And this happens through the clitoral roots, through the G-spot, through the vagina, but there has to be some type of clitoral stimulation. And the important thing you need to know about male anatomy is on the next tape, and I'm happy to share that with you. I think I'll leave you in suspense from that. And if I were to host this show, I think I could do a really good job. And I hope you'll contact me. And thanks, it was great to meet you and to talk to you.